Ladies and gentlemen and graphic designers, we're going to do part 5 of lesson 5. We're going to finish up our Photoshop document. The first thing we're going to do is we're going to round the edges of a photo. When we're doing your collage later, you're probably going to want to do this with almost every photo. So what we're going to do is we're going to go to layers, and we're going to round the edges of this letter. So we're going to come over here, and we're going to make sure we've clicked on the layer. Okay, and then we're going to click right here. We're going to go to all of our shapes. We're going to go to the rounded rectangle tool, and we're going to change the radius to 75 pixels. And then we're going to make sure up here that it's paths. Otherwise, we're drawing a white or some sort of colored shape. We don't want to make a shape. We want to make a selection here. So we're going to click and drag, and you can see that we have created a rounded rectangle, and we're going to click there. We're going to come over here from layers to paths, and we're going to call this click, 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 click. Come on, do it. We're going to call it rounded rectangle. Okay. And click OK. And just like we did before, we're going to load that as a selection. We're going to come back to layers, and you can see that we've selected. We're going to make sure we're on our letter layer, and we're going to make a clipping. What did I just do? Hit escape. We're going to make a clipping mask. Okay, and then we might want to make sure that on this thing we have some sort of drop shadow that looks good. So let's see here. Let's make sure it has a good distance and a good spread. Something like that. Okay, click OK. So that gives it a little bit nicer of a look. Okay, so we got that first thing done. We've used a rounded rectangle to round the edges of a photo. Okay, so we're going to find a font and add your name to this thing. So you're going to, like we've done in the past, you're going to go to www.dafont.com, and you're going to download a font, and you're going to save that font in your assets folder. Okay, and when you're ready to use it, you double click on it, and you're going to look for the thing that says TTF or OTF, True Type Font, or I don't know what OTF stands for, but anyway, you double click on it, and then this thing will pop up, and you install the font. The bad news is you have to install it every day because it disappears, but on these weird school computers. But install it. I've already installed it, and you're good to go. Okay, and so once you've installed the font, you have to remember the name. It's Ultra Fresh. Okay, so once you've done that, then you can come back to Photoshop, and we're going to make a new layer. So we're going to go up to the very tippy top. You're going to click. You're going to make a new layer. You're going to come down here. You're going to click right there. You're going to search and find it. I already found it, Ultra Fresh, but find the font and then type in your name. And you can use the move tool to move it where you want. Now this particular one needs to be all black because we're going to do a clipping mask. So I'm going to go to the text tool. I'm going to select that. I'm going to come up here somewhere, right there, and I'm going to choose all black. Okay, so we have that. Now, we have that. Let's click off so you can see it's all black. Okay, so we're going to click here. We're going to hit a new layer, and then we're doing a clipping mask, so we're going to place something on top of this. So we're going to go File, Place, and you got to download the sand texture. I'm going to move it on top of my letters there. I'm going to hit Enter. Okay, so I have my text, and then the texture above it. I'm going to hit, can't remember, is it Alt? Yeah, I'm going to hit Alt, and you can see when I go between the layers, and then if you zoom in, you can see that texture inside your letters. Now, if you want to do an effect to this, you can. So you can go here. You could do an effect and do maybe like a bevel and emboss, something like that. That makes it look a little bit interesting. Click OK. And then we double click on the hand and kind of get the whole thing. If you want to add drop shadow effects to this, that might be a good idea. Or if you want, the easy way to do it is just to drag the effects from below. Anyway, that's fine. Good enough for now. Okay, so we added a font and your name. We added a clipping mask, and now we have to make sure we've named each layer with a name that follows a naming convention. So that's one thing I'm going to check before I grade. Well, when I grade it, so you have to take a look and make sure. Does every layer have a good name? And they all do. And same thing with the paths. All the paths have to have good names, and they do. All right, let's keep moving. All right, now we're going to save a copy. So the final thing is you have this thing here. This is a Photoshop document. You can use it because you have Photoshop installed. Now, let's say you wanted to print this at Walmart. Walmart does not have Photoshop, so you have to save it into a format that they can. So if you're going to send it to a printer, you want to use a lossless format, something that's really high quality. So we'd go File, Save As, and you're going to save a copy as a TIFF. And you're going to save it right there in Photoshop Book Lesson 5. You're not going to save it in the Assets folder. This is not an asset. This is the final thing. Okay, so we're going to save it as a TIFF. And when this thing pops up, you're going to just say, yeah, that's okay. Oh, if you include, well, we'll just include layers. That's fine. Okay, so we included all kinds of information in that high-quality TIFF. Now, the other thing is it's going to say to save it for the web. So if you're going to save a picture to put on the web, you don't need it to be high quality. In fact, you want it to be a little bit lower quality so that it will load faster. So this one's a little different. So we're going to go File. Instead of Save As, we're going to go Save for Web and Devices. And we're going to say that's okay. And then we're going to choose a JPEG to go on the web. And you're going to choose whatever quality you want, medium or low or whatever. And we're going to click Save. And we're going to save it in the same place. Notice that the extension is different. So we're going to go to Photoshop Book Lesson 5. And we're going to save it. And then the other thing is if you want to save it for somebody like your dad who doesn't have Photoshop and he needs some sort of format that everybody can use, you could do the same thing. You can go File, Save As, and we're going to save it as a JPEG, or not a JPEG, as a PDF, a portable document format. So you're going to save it as a PDF. Okay, so you're going to save it in all these different So we're going to do all that. Okay, so now we've satisfied that last requirement. So you've saved a version for the web, you've saved a version to go to a printer in a lossless format, and you saved it to go to your mom, and your mom doesn't have Photoshop, but everybody in the world can open up a PDF. So that's what we've done. All right, now your job is to grab the scoring guide or the grade scale and to make sure you've done everything and have me come and grade Lesson 5, the end.